Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Thursday, 22nd of May. Here we go. You know that God tells us in the Torah, in the Parsha of Shoftim, that we should never cut down a fruit tree. So that's clear. It's a straight-out law. You can't chop down a fruit tree. And that's simple. But now some added details, and they would be, okay, I understand that if it's an apple tree or a peach tree, and I'm really wasting God's produce if I chop down an apple tree. But what if it's a tree that just produces like bitter walnuts or something? So can I just chop that thing down because the walnuts are just bitter? And the answer to that is that you still may not chop it down. That's still a resource to somebody out there. They're not for nothing. They have a use. And therefore a fruit tree, even if it is bitter fruits or things of the sort, may not be chopped down at all. Now that, so far, that we have said is only about totally chopping down the tree. If you, for example, want to cut down a branch of a tree because it's blocking your sukkah, and you won't be able to fulfill your mitzvah of sukkah in your good spot that's available to you because one branch of your tree is blocking it, then you have permission to chop down that branch. That's not like chopping down a tree. You just lift off that branch safely, don't hurt yourself, and when you do that, you're saving your mitzvah of sukkah, and that is totally fine, and you can go ahead and do that. If you want to prune a tree and you want to take down two branches because they're kind of sickly and the other branches will grow much better after you take down those few sick ones, that is considered fine. That's pruning a tree, and that's actually helping it, and it will help the rest of the fruit of the tree grow better. That you're totally allowed to do. Let's say you want to chop down a fruit tree before the fruit ever develop. It's really young. The fruit are going to get here in 2 years or something. That's what you've been told by whoever knows about your tree. And you're like, let me just chop it down before the fruit develop. That's still considered wrong because you are blocking the growth of the fruit, which are set to go, and your wrong action is making that not happen. So you're not allowed to chop down a tree for knowing that the fruit are going to be coming, and think you beat the system by chopping down before the fruit got here. You're not allowed to do that. If you have an aged tree, it used to bear fruit and now it bears no fruit anymore because it's near death, that kind of tree is allowed to be chopped down if there are no fruit growing from the tree anymore. If you're dealing with a sick old tree that still does a little fruit but much less fruit than it used to do, so if you want to chop it down before its death, where there's still some fruit coming out of it, you better speak to a rabbi because it really depends on how many fruit it is bearing as to whether or not you're allowed to do it. If it's a dangerous situation and you're afraid that's going to hurt people, speak to a rabbi. There are certain ways to deal with that. There is one opinion of the Piskei Tosos in Psachim that says that this law that we're talking about here even applies to non-fruit trees. So if you just have a good tall wood tree in your backyard and you just feel like cutting it down for no good reason at all, some poskim say not to do that either. That's wasteful to just get rid of good growing wood just for no good reason at all. But if you have a good reason to cut down just a plain ordinary wood tree, and good reasons would be simple things like it's in my way, it's blocking the sunlight, I'm extending my house and I need to have it taken down, those would be considered acceptable reasons to take down a tree that doesn't bear fruit. But if it's a tree that bears fruit, you can't just take it away because you're doing a home extension. You can't just take it away because it's blocking the sunlight. For that, you'd have to speak to a rabbi because under normal circumstances, unless you figure out some other strategy, but under normal circumstances, fruit trees cannot be chopped down, period. Thanks for logging on. We'll try and give you a few more of these over the next day or two. Bye-bye.